Hey Believers, this is SuperZombGBBQ, and today we are going on to the final set of overall stats. We're going to cover off the best and worst, as requested by you, the best and worst Ultimate cards in WWE SuperCard Season 3. I cannot wait to go through this list. You've been asking for it almost since the beginning of the game, and I'm finally giving it to you. Now we have the ability to, with the stats on hand. Now, if you could do me a huge favor and like this video if you like what you see, but also make sure you check to subscribe, which will show up down here at the end of the video, or just press one of the big red buttons that appears that says the word subscribe over it. That'd be amazing. Just to check up on other WWE SuperCard videos in the future. But let's get right into it, and we're going to start off and we're going to cover off both sets of Ultimate cards, females and males. We're going to cover the worst and the best. You'll do it in two separate ways. The females is going to be worst to best. Then we're going to cover off the best and worst overall stats. Then we'll move on to the males. We'll go through the worst males, the worst 5 males, and that'll be covering potentially more than 10 superstars at a time, because some of them link and are exactly the same amount of stats together. And then we'll cover off the best overall superstars, the males in the tier, and then the best overall stats. Now, if you have missed the Elite and the Hardened cards and you're looking for those, there will be a little eye that pops over there, which you can see, and I'll just wait until the end of the video, and you will be able to go and check those out and see those for yourself. But let's get into it right now and talk about the best and worst Ultimate females. Now, this doesn't include any event cards, just to clarify, these are normal tier cards. The other thing to mention is these are not based on personal preference, these are purely based on stats alone. So just bear that in mind when we are working out the overall best and worst is based on not opinion but fact. So if you have your own best card, let me know in the comments section below. You have a personal favourite, one that works better for you than anyone else. Let us know in the comments section below. So let's jump right into the females. Let's start from the worst to the best, and we're going to cover off all 11 females, the most that there are in the entirety of WWE SuperCard Season 3 across any of the new tiers in the game, across Hardened, Elite and Ultimate, which you could probably say is by design, because it means you're more likely to get other cards and whatnot, and it's harder to get a pro, but let's just move on. So jumping right into it now, the worst overall female in the tier unfortunately belongs to, this is not surprising, but Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke has unfortunately 2 of the worst stats again in the tier, despite being a much more important character on Raw so far. But alas, she is one of the worst cards in the tier. We just have to deal with that. It's unfortunate. Some of the rankings in the Ultimate females are very, very surprising. Moving up next, we do have Natalya. Now, Natalya is less and less more of an important person in SmackDown at the moment. Even though she's an incredibly useful character in storylines and one of the best wrestlers overall, she unfortunately does have one of the worst cards in the female section. Now, moving on from that, we are now going on to another card that I was very surprised that she was the worst in the Hardened tier. This is Nia Jax. She's actually got an incredibly good power and toughness game, but she does lose very, very badly in speed and charisma. That's her main issue. And she is the 9th overall female in ranking in WWE SuperCard Season 3's Ultimate tier. Next one, again, incredibly surprising because of how high she was in SummerSlam tier. I mean, literally, the dive, given she's not lost a belt, is just insane. Asuka. Asuka, unfortunately, is only 4 away from the bottom of the overall females, which is surprising because there's no other NXT females that could possibly be. In fact, there's no other NXT females in the tier, which is very, very surprising. Maybe a Mickie James card if she ends up being an NXT going forward, but maybe it sums up the NXT division as it is. Maybe there needs to be more focus on getting more females into that brand. Moving on from there, we're going to go to one of the overall best static cards in the game, and this is Alexa Bliss and Carmella. Surprisingly, Carmella's better than Asuka. I know. But both share the overall same stat points, and Alexa Bliss does have one of the highest overall stat points across the females in the tier. Moving on from there, we go to Bayley, who wants to hug you because she is number 4. And she has one, again, some of the best overall stats in the tier. But moving up to number 3, now this shouldn't be surprising if you watch the Elite one, Nikki Bella, who has, again, some of the best overall stats in the tier, but not the best overall stats. She's more of a well-rounded card between power, toughness, speed, and charisma, but she's a decent card overall. Now moving into the main event, the top 3, which technically actually should be the top 2, because Nikki Bella's actually the 3rd, and that is because both Charlotte and Becky Lynch tie with the same amount of points. Speed and charisma being Becky Lynch's game, power and toughness being Charlotte's game. Moving on to number 1. This is a huge coincidence. She's not the best in all the other tiers. It's the boss Sasha Banks, your women's champion. And despite being the best, she doesn't have the best overall stats, but her charisma, as I've mentioned in the previous, the elite females, oh my, her charisma is pretty freaking high. So there's your best to worst, 11 to number 1. Let's just cover off that list again. You got Dana Brooke, Natalya, Nia Jax, Asuka, Alexa Bliss and Carmella go up to the halfway point. And then you move into the top 4, the main event. You're talking about Bayley, Nikki Bella, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and the boss, Sasha Banks. Let me know in the comment section below if you've got any of those cards or which one you want to go for yourself. And especially if you've got a pro of one of those cards, because trying to find a pro of any Ultimate Female is an absolute freaking nightmare. I know from my own perspective, I've got 4 of them. Hopefully I'll get a pro at some point soon. So let's cover off the best and the worst stats that are in those female cards. And let's talk about the worst first of all. The worst power belongs to Bayley. Not a shocker. She's not known for powerful moves, even though she has the Bayley to belly. But, you know, whatever. Speed goes to Dana Brooke as well as charisma. Unfortunately, she does share 2 of the worst stats in the game. Lower than Nia Jax's, which is not so sure about that. And toughness belongs to Natalya. Now moving on to the best overall stats, let's look at some of the best cards. And oh, it's not surprising to know that Charlotte has the best power and toughness. I'm personally not surprised, but the fact that she almost 3 stats, I believe, Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks is one of the best cards, means that Charlotte is incredibly useful. The next one I was surprised about though, and I said this earlier on, and this has happened in several tiers in WWE SuperCard, and this is one of the best stats belonging to a card that's not one of the top cards in the game. Alexa Bliss has the best overall speed, whereas previously Becky Lynch always held that honour. Alexa Bliss, who is currently the SmackDown Live Women's Champion, is the best overall speed rated card available and has a great set of overall stats. And moving on to the charisma, should be no surprise, she has almost one of the best sets of charisma overall in terms of the entire tier. I mean, we're talking, she's almost shy of Shinsuke Nakamura and John Cena. She's almost just shy of The Miz in Season 3's Ultimate tier. Sasha Banks, yeah, not surprising, great card, and if you've got a toughness, speed, charisma, maybe a little bit of tiny bit on power, job's a good one. So let's move on to the males. This is going to be in a very, very, very different format, as I mentioned earlier. So we're going to go into top 5 and worst 5 mode here to cover off purely the worst and top cards in the game. And whilst we're in a segue of going from worst to best, we'll cover off the worst overall stats. At the end, we'll cover off the best overall stats. But let's look at the worst overall cards, starting with number 5, which actually is shared between a trifecta of Rhino, Gallows, and Big Cass. Rhino, Gallows, and Big Cass unfortunately have some of the weakest stats available in the tier. If I show you, I've actually got Gallows over here. We go. Very surprisingly, Gallows. Very, very surprisingly, his stats are as low as they are. Given he actually was better than Carl Anderson in SummerSlam tier, the last tier that he was in. And Rhino's over here. Although Rhino I'm not really surprised about because he's only really in it to benefit Heath Slater and help him out. He's got stuff outside WWE. I'm just happy that Rhino has a card full frickin' stop. ECW WWE legend. Guy is just awesome, especially during the invasion angle, one of the most important people in the invasion angle that was a complete flop, let's be real. Big Cass, kind of surprised about given he got quite a big push, but even more surprising is that Enzo Amore is almost near the bottom as well. He's not in the bottom 5, but he's not great. Moving on from here, we got one of the Uso brothers, in fact both of the Uso brothers, and one of them shares one of the worst power stats as well, Jey Uso, and then you got Jimmy Uso as well. Both share the same amount of stat points and are number 4 on our list. Now the next one is, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I mean, I know it's only recently they've had their push, but Sheamus and Cesaro are the third worst overall cards with the same overall stat points in the tier. What? Even when you think about it, Season 2 are one of the best overall event cards available. Cesaro had, and him and Sheamus had that feud. The fact that they've both got the same stat points doesn't surprise me, given they're in the tag team together. But, Jesus Christ, the cards are garbage. Comments in the comment section, please. Especially when you think the likes of Bobby Roode and whatnot are better. It's just like, God, I think James Ellsworth would have a better card than they would. I'd even say Blue Pants would probably have a better card than two would. God, I mean, you could get four-statted by some of the female cards. Ty Dillinger, yes, the perfect 10 is our second worst card in the tier, but don't feel too sour. You know, it's the fact of the matter is you've got a Ty Dillinger card in the game at all. But a returning superstar is our worst card in Ultimate tier, and that belongs to the man that they really need to make great again, Darren Young. Darren Young needs to be made great again. Come on, SuperCard, you can do it. Cat Daddy. Why are you made Darren Young the worst card in the game? He's not that bad. But yes, unfortunately, according to Ultimate tier in Season 3, he is the worst card in the tier. He is just there to make up the numbers. So let me know if you got any of those cards in the comment section below, any of those pro'd. I've seen Darren Young's card pro, and you know, any Ultimate card right now, I'm not trying to do this just to please people, but is a good card. December 2016, looking at Ultimate cards, yeah, trust me, any Ultimate Pro right now is absolutely a-okay. And it's definitely worth you having those cards. But let's move on to the worst overall stats in the tier, and you probably won't be surprised to know this. But we're going to go to Charisma first of all, because Gallows, worst Charisma? Have a word. Ties of Rhino, worst Charisma stat, worst speed stat is Darren Young, worst toughness is Ty Dillinger, replacing The Miz in previous tiers, who has rocketed up the rankings. He's one of the best cards in the freaking game now. It's insane thinking that only 6 months ago, before SmackDown Live did the draft and SmackDown Live became a thing, that The Miz was one of the worst overall superstars around. I mean, yes, he was fantastically charismatic, one of the best overall superstars on the mic, but he was jobbed out almost all the time, especially since the Mizdow and Sandow gig kind of fell through and Mizdow, not ta-ta. The worst power belongs to one of the Usos, the Jimmy variety. Jimmy Uso, worst power stat in the Ultimate tier of this game. And we're going to move on now to the best overall card. This is something a lot of people have been looking forward to. The best overall cards in Ultimate tier for WWE SuperCard Season 3. Let's go! Now, there are a lot of superstars in this list, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this right at the end, because this is quite good. I like this. I like that they've got a lot of cards in the same stat area. So we're going to talk about the top 5. The number 5 is actually belonging to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 superstars. I'm going to talk about those now. Jericho, Reigns. Yeah, no, I said Roman Reigns, not the top. Amazing. In fact, he's never been a top overall superstar at all, ever in SuperCard Season 3. Maybe they don't believe in Reigns. Maybe Cat Day just don't believe that. Finn Balor and Randy Orton, who all overall stat-wise are exactly the same and number 5 on our list. Neither of those, unfortunately, share one of the best stats in the game, but when we come to best stats in the game, we have 3 cards right now, which we're going to go through, which are do exactly that and have some of the best stats in the game and are incredibly useful to get some of the top tier cards. And that is this man here, Dean Ambrose. The other one, Shinsuke Nakamura, who I have 2 pros of. This guy is so freaking useful, you have no idea. I can't seem to find the last one. I don't know where he is, but John Cena, power and charisma. I'm just messing with you. Let's go find it. There he is. John Cena, power and charisma. And as I said, in fact, his card is almost identical. Almost identical to Shinsuke Nakamura overall. Basically, you move his power over to his toughness to his speed, and you move his speed over to his power, and the card's almost identical. Amazing to think that Shinsuke Nakamura has the same stats as the face that runs the place. I'm not talking about AJ Styles, I'm talking about John Cena. We'll go to AJ Styles in a minute. Kevin Owens then follows up the list going forward, who is the third best card in the tier overall. Whilst he doesn't have one stat that stands out, he has got a very well-rounded card. Great into power, toughness, speed, and charisma. He catches a lot of cards out on the charisma stat, even if he does lose to certain other cards in a lot of others. Now moving up to number 2, it's getting very, 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 very tense up there. Lesnar and Styles. Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles. AJ Styles, when we were at a preview event, was actually the best card in the game. I don't know why they've changed it, but Brock Lesnar's there. We have the overall stats over here, and they just both are absolutely incredible cards. Definitely, if you've got a pro of those are just gold dust. They also had 2 of the best overall stats in the tier, which is surprising because the 2 best cards at the top of the tree, the top of the mountain, don't actually have any stat that's the best in the tier. And we're talking about Seth frickin' Rollins and Samoa Joe. Both have crazy good stats. I mean, literally incredible stats. But Jesus Christ, no, not one of the stats they have, Samoa Joe or Seth Rollins, is one of the best in the tier. But you would want one of those in your King of the Ring deck because the overall card stats on both of those cards, especially Joe, is pretty amazing. But for me, best card, most favorite card, got to be Dean Ambrose and Nakamura. Dean Ambrose and Nakamura are the most useful cards for me in the tier. Let me know what yours are in the comment section below, or any of the tiers I've mentioned: Elite, Ultimate, whatnot. Let's look at the best overall stats. I can tell you now that the best overall power stat is not surprising, belongs to Brock Lesnar. Toughness belongs to Dean Ambrose. Speed belongs to AJ Styles, and charisma is a straight tie between Nakamura and John Cena. Surprisingly, just underneath those, The Miz. Yeah, The Miz. Amazing. I'm very, very, very happy with that. But that doesn't include any event cards and any Money in the Bank cards, because event and Money in the Bank cards have usually higher overall stats. We're looking at the best overall stat overall at this point in talking. It's this guy here, Bret the Hitman Hart, followed very closely behind by Shane McMahon. And Goldberg, who was the original card, really has just been reduced to a great overall tag card that not many people have. So that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like this video and also subscribe to the channel, which is going to pop up just down here. Check the details in the description below for details to my Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and make sure that you are subscribed and your notifications are on for new videos, because YouTube likes to do lots of funny things. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Remember those comments in the comment section below. Remember that like, remember that subscribe, and I'll see you soon. One last thing before we go, and that is to zombie!